Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you are new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds. If you'd like to join the family, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Also, click on the bell icon so you will get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you'd like to participate on the discussion, you can join me most weekdays where I go live around 4 p.m. Central Time, or outside of my YouTube. You can consider reaching out to me through a Discord channel I created. There is a link for that down in the description below. Also down in the description below is a link to a Pinterest board. That is a great place for you guys to see some of the different meals that I've been enjoying as I've been working towards my goal. Today is day 927 of my challenge to lose 300 pounds. I've used a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet to lose over 250 pounds so far. If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I love hearing your non-scale victories. If you have any on-scale victories, I love hearing those as well. If you're succeeding with your diet, let us know what you're doing to succeed. Let us know how you're doing on your diet. If you're struggling with your diet, let us know what's causing your difficulty, what's causing you to struggle. Maybe it's something we can help you with, or it's something that we've had an issue with ourselves. And at the end of the day, what are some things that you are doing to make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? Go ahead, switch over to the main here. I hope everybody had a wonderful evening and day today. You people checking in. Hello, Cindy, Christy, Carrie, Pretty Girl's mom. Hello, hello. Cindy says, hi, everyone. A+ on the cartwheel, John. I'll go over that here in a minute. But hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great day. Let me go ahead. We'll pull up food here since yesterday. Let's see. Today is Tuesday. So can anybody guess what we had for dinner on Monday? I wonder if anybody can guess. Let me go ahead and pull this up here. Why that's there. That as well. Let's see. Anybody guess what we had for dinner on Monday? Monday night's dinner. All right. Let's see here for dinner last night. Hello, Plants Only Muncher. Hope you're having a great day. We had Mega Veggie Chili Monday. Cindy got it there. Mega Veggie Chili. Yes, Mega Veggie Chili Monday last night. I was listening to a Rich Roll podcast yesterday while I was driving, and they were talking about having kind of regiments or having these things in place where you don't have to take a lot of effort to make the decision. And by us having that Mega Veggie Chili Monday, it kind of makes Mondays easier because we don't have to really think about what we're going to have for dinner. We just make sure we have the ingredients on hand for this kind of all the time. So it's easy for us to just make it and have that. So for dinner yesterday, we had Mega Veggie Chili. Then today for breakfast, I had my savory oats with mushrooms, onions, and spinach. I also had a bag of broccoli, not photographed here today, with breakfast. And then at lunch, I had a big bowl of potatoes and broccoli with some of I think I used the teriyaki California balsamic vinegar. And so that was that was lunch today. And let's see, what else did I have that I didn't photo? Oranges. I had some small oranges last night. I don't think I had any other fruit other than that. Carrie here says that she's not a big fan of thinking about what to make for meals. Breakfast and lunch are locked in. We got Mondays covered. Hold on a second. Sorry, guys, there was just a weird noise. It sounded like somebody was outside my door, which would have been really weird. So I went and checked it. It must have just been the wind. But Carrie says she needs so we got breakfast and lunch locked in. Mondays are locked in. And she said she needs a tea meal for Tuesday. Pretty Girl's mom says tofu Tuesdays. We don't eat a lot of tofu. In fact, we don't really eat any tofu at all. Ron says tempeh or tofu tacos or taco Tuesdays. Yeah, we'll have to figure something out. For Tuesdays to have that as a set thing. But it's something where even though we don't have set meals for every other day of the week, we do have pretty much a 5 to 7 recipes that we kind of rotate between. We have the Mega Veggie Chili, obviously, on Mondays. Let me go through here and see what are some rice and beans, like that's something that we have a lot of times. Let's see. The red lentil chilies. Let's see, what's the other one here? Polenta and white beans. I'm just looking through some of our old photos to see. Oh, this one's really good. This eggplant one that we have. We have this every now and then when we got eggplant. Let's see. So, we have 5 to 7 recipes we kind of go between, but a lot of it's the Mega Veggie Chili, this is the farro soup, I think. So even though we don't have a set meal for every day, we kind of have, a limited menu options, I guess, is what I would say, or certain things on our menu. But I think I went over all the food for today here. Carrie, Ron says teriyaki Tuesdays. I was thinking about that too. We have those California balsamics. Cindy says 10 veggie stir fry. Or we can make it 10 anything, right? 10 potato stir fry. 10 anything stir fry. Carrie says great suggestions, guys. So that's, yeah, we need to find something for our Tuesdays. Let me so it got brought up at the beginning. I'll go ahead and talk about it here for just a second here with the cartwheel yesterday. So I have 4 kids, and one of my kids is a big fan of trying to do cartwheels and doing handstands and just kind of some simple gymnastic things. And my one kid was trying to teach another kid how to do cartwheels, and they were talking about it, and they were doing cartwheels, and they were showing me cartwheels and asking me how they were doing. And it got me thinking about doing a cartwheel, because when I was in high school, I was overweight. I was this size still when I was in high school, or bigger a lot of the time when I was in high school, but I was still able to do a cartwheel, or maybe not a perfect cartwheel. Maybe it was more like a round off, but it was something that at 260 pounds, when I was 17 years old, I had done cartwheels, mainly like in the wrestling room on wrestling mats. So it's a little bit softer kind of platform that if you fall on, you're not going to hurt yourself. So anyways, my kids were playing around doing cartwheels yesterday, and I got thinking, man, I wonder if I could do a cartwheel anymore. And I debated it for a minute or two. And so we cleared a space off in the house and I attempted a cartwheel. And this actually, the video here is not my first cartwheel. Let me pull it up here and we can watch me do a cartwheel. So let's see if it, my daughters were very impressed that I was able to do a cartwheel. And so it was kind of a funny thing. But so I did the cartwheel. They were laughing about it. And I was like, all right, well, maybe we can record me doing a cartwheel. So we did record me doing this cartwheel. And then I sent it off to Carrie because she wasn't home last night. She was out, I think, picking up groceries when, or my son had a meeting last night. So that's what she was doing. So I said, well, I'll just send it to Carrie. And then she told me I should post it on YouTube. And so I posted it on YouTube. So former 520-pound fat man doing a cartwheel. Definitely something that I never thought I would do again. When I was, younger, it was easier. I also, since starting this challenge, I have injured the bicep tendon on both of my arms. And so I wasn't sure how much that bicep was going to be needed for doing a cartwheel. And so that was something that it was fun to do. I'm glad I was able to do it. It makes me excited for being able to do, something like a cartwheel a little bit better, or even the other things that I'm going to unlock. There's like these it's almost like when you're playing a video game and you do something and you unlock a new skill. Well, I unlocked the ability to do a cartwheel. One of the next things, maybe not next things, but one of the things I would love to unlock is being able to do a pull-up without, struggling or having as big issues. Like I've never done, I've probably done like a single pull-up, but I've never done like a series of pull-ups. Like how many pull-ups can you do? Maybe one was always the answer. So being able to get light enough that I'd be able to pull, do a pull-up, that would be something I'd like to do. I'm sure there's some other things physically, maybe a handstand or headstand or something like that. Just simple things that when you're a kid, you take for granted being able to do. But then as you get older and, like I got up to 500 pounds, those are things you don't think you would ever do again. Playing on a trampoline, doing tricks on a trampoline, that's something I'd love to do. I remember doing that when I was a kid and having a lot of fun with that. Let's see. Plants Only Munchers asking, do you ever make split peas? No, we have not made them. Carrie's saying that there. Ricky says that they can do one and that's about it probably as far as pull-ups. Jay asks, were you teased in school because of the weight, and what did your family eat growing up? Well, my family, we always had home cooked meals. My mom always had food on the table, but it was, kind of that hearty meals that kind of everybody was eating those years. There was lots of pasta dishes like goulash, and there was shepherd's pies and lasagnas, all kinds of wonderful kind of home cooked meals. And then there would be, we would spatter in Pizza Hut pizzas or going out to eat, but not near as much as when I was on my own. My mom would make dinners, but they would be big family dinners. It would be kind of those traditional foods. And so that was kind of what our diet was. And then Jay asked, was I teased in school because of the weight? Not to my face, I guess is what I would say. One of the things I talked about a little bit yesterday or the last few days is that, growing up, I was always overweight. I look at some of my old photos. I have actually some of them on the wall here. Let me see if I can. This is an old photo of, oh shoot, sorry guys. This is an old photo of me when I was in high school. I'm the guy in the, I can just kind of cover this guy up, but so that's me in high school in the blue with the knee pad on. And so I was probably 200. I was probably about the same size in that photo that I am right now. And so I was always a bigger guy, but I was also like one of the strongest guys in my school. And so, I was a football player that was, starting, varsity football player from my sophomore year through my senior year. I was a varsity wrestler my sophomore year through my senior year. And so, you can kind of get away with being fat if you're strong. And that's what I did. I would, nobody would pick on me because there was this gentle giantness to me, like I think that people had. I wasn't like a mean or aggressive, or I never got in fights, but nobody would make fun of me to my face. But the one thing that I could never avoid is that my last name was one letter away from being an insult. My last name is Fa. This is Fa Dieting. You change that last letter to a T. It's very easy to make fun of somebody where their name is Fa and they are fat. So Fa is fat, or Fat Fa. But nobody ever said that to my face. But I knew it was out there. I guess was the thing. But so it wasn't anything where I had to deal with it directly, but you hear, kind of those murmurs or those things. And then, you think, well, what other things are these people thinking about me or saying about me and things like that. So, but that's high school, stuff. And I never really let it get to me because I knew that I could probably pick them up and slam them into the ground and they would probably not talk to me anymore. So, let's see here. Jay asks, are your parents and siblings now obese? Yeah. I would say that, most of my family would probably be in the upper overweight or obese category. It's something where, it's growing up. We were, so me and my brothers, I have four brothers or three. I'm sorry. I have three brothers. There's four boys. All of us were heavyweight wrestlers in high school. My younger brother was probably the smallest of us going through high school. He didn't become a heavyweight wrestler till he was a junior or a senior. So he was still kind of under 200 pounds. But then really all of us, once we kind of got out on our own, as far as my siblings, all of us have struggled with weight and had, periods of times where we were either the heaviest or the lightest amongst our siblings, at least my male siblings. And so, yeah, so right now is the first time my entire life that I have been the lightest of all my brothers. And that's pretty crazy because for the past 10 years, I was the heaviest. I wasn't the oldest. I wasn't the tallest, but I was the heaviest. In fact, I'm probably the shortest. I was the shortest and the heaviest of all my brothers. And so now I've reversed that, or I've changed that. I've gotten down and I've passed them all as far as weight loss goes. And one of my biggest hopes is that one day they'll come up to me, or one of them, or, or a couple of them, or any of them will come up to me and say, hey, you're doing awesome. I want to do what you're doing. And, regardless of how difficult it is, that's my goal. That's what, when I started this challenge, that's what, when you see when you see those before and after pictures of people that sparks that inspiration. And I want to get to that after point, when I'm 220 pounds, I don't see how anybody will be able to deny my success, I guess. So, yeah, Carrie says here, hoping it lights a fire under them, and, when we have events like Mother's Day this past weekend, or Easter a few weeks ago, for me, it's really a great opportunity for, me to stay compliant and to show that I can come and hang out with family and stay compliant on my diet and have just as much fun as everybody else is having, and not, because I have just as much fun, if not more fun than I used to, because for a while there, I would just sit on the couch and just wait for the event to get done. And now I can participate more with playing with my nieces and nephews and my own kids, and actually having more fun at these family events. And even like when we eat at these events, I don't feel bogged down after I eat. In the past, I'd go and I would have a big hamburgers and bratwurst and big plates of food and mashed potatoes and gravy. And then after you eat, you just kind of feel like, oh, I don't want to do anything. And it's because your body's like, hey, you got to give us a chance to digest this food. And so when we do go to these events and we eat our food, it doesn't cause me to crash. Eating my food gives me energy. It lightens my day. It really does. Jay here says they have to have a reason to do it. Absolutely. Everybody's got to, come to this themselves. It's really difficult for me, to not say anything. And I'm going to go over that actually a little bit more here, but, like this past weekend, we went down to Fairfield, Iowa. We went to Veg Fest. It was a vegan festival down in Fairfield. And I was talking to a guy about, they had this vertical grow thing where it was like this big basin, and then there was a tube that came up, and then they had these little pods that you would put inside this tube that the vegetables would grow out of. And then the bottom was a water tub that they would suck the water up to the top, and then it would trickle down over the roots of the plants. And it's a no soil needed vertical grow thing. Anyways, I was talking to this guy. It was kind of a cool thing that he was talking about. But then I got talking about, my weight loss, and kind of said, well, I used to be 520 pounds. I've lost 250 pounds. And he kind of, as I said that, somebody walked behind me that I hadn't seen. And he was kind of like, so you were like that guy? And he pointed to a guy behind me, and I turned around and I was like, yeah, I looked exactly like that guy did, because there was a guy walking behind me that was really big, and I just want to run over and just be like, gosh, I can help you, or you can be helped, or there's a solution, or there's at least a path you can go down that maybe you haven't tried before. Because that's the thing that surprises me the most about this diet, is that I thought I did every diet. I thought I had tried everything that had a chance of working. And then I realized that I was avoiding this vegan, no animal product diet, or I wouldn't even give it a second thought. But now that I have, and I've been doing it for 900 days, I realize that I really think that it would help a lot of people. I see people at the grocery store leaning on their grocery carts or riding on mobility scooters. And I want to say, hey, how important would, how much would you be willing to pay to get control over your life again? And but they have to have a reason. They have to, they would have to approach me. They have to find it on their own, because that's where it's going to stick. If somebody would have walked up to me when I was 520 pounds, I would have told them to go go kick rocks, I don't have any interest in talking to you about losing weight, or anything like that. Let's see. Gene here says, wear it like a badge of honor and keep setting that bar high. Yeah. As far as going to events and being, present, I like being present at those things and being able to participate and not, being drugged down. Ricky here says, many of the Gracies are on a plant-based diet, like the jiu-jitsu. Have you ever considered doing Gracie Brazilian jiu-jitsu, especially with that wrestling background? Absolutely. When I was a lot younger, I was going to try to start doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu to lose weight. And I was probably 400 pounds, or I might have lost a little bit of weight, but I did. I signed up for a Brazilian jiu-jitsu class, and I went to one class and never went back to another class. Like I said, I was very heavy at the time. I would consider doing something like that. If I was going to get back into trying to do like workouts like that, my brothers are still very active with wrestling in our community, and I could get involved with wrestling in a heartbeat. If I said, hey, I wanted to start coming up to wrestling practices or going up to the wrestling room, I could probably get involved with wrestling again. And so the tough thing for jiu-jitsu for me is that when you wrestle like folk style wrestling or high school wrestling, you don't want to be on your back. Like that's the whole thing, is not being on your back. And that's kind of the opposite with Brazilian jiu-jitsu. You'd rather be on your back than have somebody on top of you, because it's a very, if somebody's on your back in jiu-jitsu, you're going to lose more than likely. Whereas in wrestling, that's where you want them. So it's a different kind of, style, or it takes unlearning stuff that I wrestled folk style wrestling from the time I was in first grade till I graduated high school. So that kind of style of wrestling was ingrained in me. It's been a while since I've done that. But yeah, I consider jiu-jitsu, but I don't know that there's even that. I'm sure so where I'm at, there used to be a huge community of UFC fighting. If you've ever heard of, oh my gosh, I'm going to blank on it. You said Gracie's. Oh yeah. Anyways, I'm going to have to look this up. What was his name? What was his? Pat Miletich. Pat Miletich had a camp around here, and that was where I went to. That one class that I did of Brazilian jiu-jitsu was at a Pat Miletich camp. And so, or not a camp, but at a gym of his. And so there is a community of that around here, but it's not as big as it was like 20 years ago. It's actually probably shrunk down since then. Let's see here. Jay asks, do you eat before you leave your house, or do you carry your own food, or does your family make compliant food for you? So Carrie helps a ton with my food, or the compliance of my food. We make the, yes, Ricky here. Yeah. You've heard of Pat Miletich, and then Matt Hughes. Yeah. Matt Hughes. I actually know, oh my God, I'm spacing on these names now. Robbie Lawler. I know Robbie Lawler. We graduated from different high schools at I think the same year. And so, he was a pretty good high school wrestler, and I was a decent high school wrestler too. So, I know I've run into him a couple times since I graduated high school, but we're not like, I don't know if he would even know my first name. He might, anyways. But the so yeah, there's a little bit of that around here. There was a heavyweight fighter, Tim Sylvia, who was a customer of ours a couple times. I've met him. So, anyways, let's see. So, anyways, Jay was asking about food. So we make our oatmeal the night before now. We put it in the Instapot, and so then it's ready in the morning. But I don't generally eat my breakfast till about 10 a.m., sometimes even 11 a.m. So it's prepared in the morning. We bring it into work, and then I eat at work. Potatoes, we cook at work. We have an Instapot in the break room that we just throw, sometimes a whole 5-pound bag of potatoes in, or a little bit less than a 5-pound bag of potatoes in, depending on if it's going to be just me and Carrie eating, or if some of our other coworkers might want to have some potatoes. We might throw a few extras in. And then for dinner, Carrie, makes a lot of our dinners. Every now and then I'll make something. I've made the polenta with white beans a few times, the mega veggie chili. But I'm very fortunate that Carrie does a lot of the preparing and the cooking of food. I try to make sure that I'm either, I'm not going anywhere where I don't have some sort of either food on me or just eaten, or I have food in my future. That's something I think is very important too, is that, like, even though I don't have food right in front of me right now, if I know I have mega veggie chili at home, it helps keep me from stopping on the way at home, or if we go to an event where there's not a lot of compliant food, but I know we have potatoes in the fridge, or I know we have leftovers from the red lentil chili, things like that. So I try to have food in my future so that I'm not relying on what's around me, because a lot of times what's around me is not good to have. But, and you know what? And Carrie is answering your question better than I am, because I realize you're asking about when we go to these events. So when we go to family events, we bring our own food. My family will have some stuff there, like veggies, and fruits. But as far as the main dish, we bring our own main dish. And so, like this last week for Mother's Day, we had mushrooms. The Easter, we had the polenta with white beans and mushrooms. When we go down to Carrie's family, it's kind of nice because her parents eat a lot like we eat, or very close to like what we eat. So my mother-in-law does a pretty good job of making things that fit our diet, and then they might add salt to it, or might add some flavoring, some things that we don't eat as part of our diet in their foods. So it just depends on the events and what we're looking for. But it does make it more difficult eating this way, going to these events. And it makes it the most difficult for dealing with these events with our kids. Like, our kids end up having birthday parties once a month. One of our kids will have a birthday party to go to, or maybe a couple times a month there'll be birthday parties. And we don't expect anybody to accommodate our kids for those parties. And so generally there's a store near us that sells like a vegan cupcake that our kids really enjoy. And so we'll just ask the host of the birthday party if it's okay that our kids, if we just bring dessert for our kids, and they generally have no issues with it. And occasionally they'll, accommodate our kids' diet, but our kids understand that when they go to these events, that it's, the food isn't the highlight of the event. It's celebrating the person's birthday. A lot of times they go to trampoline parks, or they go to places that have indoor jungle gyms, things like that. So there's other things for them to do. It's not all centered around food. It's a lot of kids' birthday parties. There's other fun play things. And then if you can get the kids to slow down for a minute and grab some food, then they grab food and then they go back and start playing again. So our kids don't really have an issue with it, or they don't vocalize it to us if they have an issue with it. And so it's good. Ricky here says, you think that you would rather eat our chili than Wendy's? Carrie says 100%. That mega veggie chili was amazing last night. Yeah, I was downstairs. Carrie got home real late last night, and I was downstairs tucking in our youngest kids, and Carrie texted me about the mega veggie chili last night. She's like, oh my God, that was amazing. And I thought it was pretty funny. And then Carrie here says that our kids have been amazing in that respect as far as going to birthday parties and other events. They don't throw fits over not being able to eat the pizza or whatever at these parties. And sometimes if we know they're having pizza, we will go and get, there's a place by us called Your Pie that has vegan options that we'll grab for our kids, or there's other places that have vegan options that are really expensive that we've grabbed on occasion, but they're usually pretty good. And we try to, Carrie says here, we try to feed them before we go to the parties so it's easier for them. And then, like I said, we make sure they have food when they get home, you know, or sometimes we'll, you know, maybe they didn't eat Your Pie at the party or have anything at the party, but then on the way home, we grab them something like Your Pie so they have something special for dinner, I guess. But it's something where I was actually really impressed last night with our kids with the mega veggie chili, because they did a really good job trying it and eating bits of it. We have right now it's like a 50% on the mega veggie chili. We have 2 of our kids that will eat mega veggie chili. They won't complain about it. And then we got 2 of our kids that would rather just have bread and butter than have mega veggie chili. Or we, you know, kind of make them eat a few bites, you know, like that's something I think is important to at least get it in their body so that their bodies can, you know, recognize the flavors, recognize the nutrients that they're getting. And then maybe over time they'll try it and their body, that switch will flip in their body. And like it did for me, you know, where, you know, one day I didn't like mega veggie chili. The next day I was like, this is amazing. It's really hard to do that get that switch to happen when you're still eating processed foods. But, you know, we just keep trying to put it in front of them. And then if they don't eat the food we put in front of them, then we kind of give them some options, you know, tell them to eat some fruit or get something in their body, but, it's just hard. Jay here says, just don't eat their cake and ice cream. Yeah. I've been able to do a really good job of avoiding the kids' foods. It does, like, this past weekend, Mother's Day, we had, so I guess it's a whole story. On Saturday, we went down to Veg Fest, and there was a place that was selling these plant-based sausages. And our kids tried a sample of the plant-based sausage, and they're like, oh, that's really good. That's awesome. And so we're like, okay, great. We'll buy a pack of these plant-based sausages that they're selling. And then for Mother's Day tomorrow, we'll make these plant-based sausages. And that's awesome. We got our kids' lunch figured out, or the meal figured out for the event. Well, the event happens. We cook the sausages. We put them on buns. And all of my kids were like, I don't like it. We're like, yesterday you thought it was awesome, and now today you didn't like it. So I don't know if it was how we cooked it or what we, you know, I don't know. Anyways, so we had these 4 vegan sausages that were like half eaten, and it's, you know, it's that old mind of my, you know, like, I don't want to be wasteful and just throw these away, but I just threw them away, you know? And so that way, it's difficult with the kids to not eat what they have, because it feels so wasteful to just throw away what they don't eat, especially when I know how much more stimulating that food is than what I eat day to day. You know, like I'm very satisfied with what I eat. I'm very happy with what I eat, but I do have an understanding that the food I eat doesn't create the same stimulus within my body as the foods that I now abstain from. And it's that stimulus that those foods cause that is the issue. That's why I can't have them. I can't eat them. So it does make it difficult to pass on their processed foods. Let's see. I talked about the cartwheel. That was definitely a non-scale victory. I didn't make that as big a point of that as I should have, but doing that cartwheel is definitely a non-scale victory for me. One of the best ones I could have had. The other non-scale victory that I've been having, or that's happened a lot recently, is I've been getting comments on my clothing. And the biggest comment, or the biggest thing that I get, especially at work here, is I keep getting asked if the shirt I'm wearing is a new shirt. No, this shirt's not that, but it was actually the shirt I was wearing yesterday that somebody was like, "Is that a new shirt?" And I was kind of like, yeah, all of my shirts are new shirts now because I can't get away with wearing those 5X and 6X shirts anymore, which was my wardrobe for the past 5 to 10 years. And so now I'm actually, they're not necessarily new shirts. They're just shirts that have been in my closet for 5 to 10 years that nobody's seen, or there have been a few new shirts that I have picked up. But that's kind of an awesome non-scale victory. Just the comments I've gotten about my clothing and buying new clothes, and just the confidence that kind of builds too. And for somebody to ask me if it's a new shirt, and for me to be like, well, yes and no. I haven't worn it for a while, but it's an old shirt because it's something I used to wear 10 years ago. That's kind of awesome feeling to be able to say that I fit into something that I wasn't able to fit into 10 years later. Jay here says, isn't that full of oil and isolated soy proteins? So I don't have the label in front of me for it, and there probably is. The sausage that we bought, it was from a place that was local to Fairfield that was trying to create their own plant-based sausage. And so it was, I didn't try it, so I don't know exactly what it even tasted like, but it looked different than like the Beyond Burgers and the Impossible meats. And so I don't know how much oil was in it, or any of the other stuff that was in those sausages. But I have a video of them on my camera that I took to that event. So I might have to look at that. So let's see anything else that happened today. So yeah, at work today, I had kind of an interesting interaction with some, what I guess I will call random people. I have an office here that we had a group of 3 ladies come in that they were working on some paperwork in my office, I guess. And the best place that we had for them to set up what they were doing was in our break room, because we have a kitchen table with some chairs. And so they were set up inside of our break room during lunch. And so I came in to grab my lunch, and I grabbed my big brown bowl that I've shown on here, and I threw 4 potatoes in it. And then I went and grabbed my bag of broccoli out of the microwave, and I was dumping the broccoli. And I just dumped like the whole bag of broccoli. I just ripped the top off, drained some of the water out, and then just dumped the whole bag of broccoli on top of the potatoes. And one of the ladies that was sitting there kind of said, well, that looks like a pretty healthy meal or something along those lines. And I kind of chuckled a bit and I was like, well, the only thing I eat is healthy foods. So, um, it said something along the lines of the only thing I eat is healthy foods. And so then, that kind of sparked a conversation about my weight loss. They had asked me what I eat. And then I talked about my weight loss, and, it was kind of fun being able to share my story with some strangers. And they were very interested in it. They were very, asking a lot of questions, or, asking different things. But it was nice. I felt like I got to practice my 30-second or my 60-second elevator pitch, is what I've called it in the past. Like I'm trying, I've been trying to find, the most concise way to express this diet to somebody, while also making it seem appealing. Like when I say I eat a whole food plant-based diet with no salt, oil, or sugar, people are maybe on board up until, I get to the end of saying whole food plant-based. But then when I say I don't eat any added salt, oil, sugar, they're like, well, then I couldn't have this and I couldn't have that. And they start thinking of all the things that they couldn't have because I don't have salt, oil, and sugar in my diet. And so I got to find a way to try to, tell them what I'm eating, but also get across that I'm not limited by what I eat. I eat such a large variety of foods, and a much larger variety of foods than I used to eat. And it's really crazy. But, in talking to them, for me, the biggest thing is I wanted to try not to be too pushy or sound too crazy, which is difficult when you're talking to people about losing 250 pounds and the first 90 pounds you lost while water fasting. Because, I said that I water fasted, and they're like, well, what do you mean water fasted? I was like, well, I only drank water. They're like, well, how long did you do that? I was like, well, it was 40 days. And they're like, what? But I had, I kind of explained to them, I was like, well, in my mind, if my body was so good at storing the fat, which it absolutely had to have been for me to get to 520 pounds, why wouldn't my body be good at retrieving that fat that it stored and then using it? And so that was kind of the mindset that I went into with my water fast. And I think that kind of computes with people, like if I was rail thin, if I was, at 10% body fat or 7% body fat, then doing a 40-day water fast would be very extreme, or much more extreme than being 520 pounds and doing a water fast, because your body is a survival mechanism. It wants to survive. So it will take the fat stores and use them to keep you alive. Whatever it has to do to keep you alive for another minute, it's going to do. And so, but I talked to them about my water fasting. I talked to them about eating my plant-based diet. I got the comment that just makes me want to pull my hair out sometimes is when somebody talks about not being able to eat carbohydrates. And it's like, you're saying carbohydrates, but you're thinking of donuts. You're not thinking of rice. You're not thinking of potatoes. You're not thinking of the carbohydrates that I'm eating. You're thinking of puff pastries and candies, or, just all this, or potatoes that are loaded with butter and chili and cheese and all, just kind of, it's not the potato that's the problem. It's the oil you're frying it in. It's the sour cream you're putting on top of it, the butter you're putting on top of it, the shredded cheese that you're eating with it. Those are what ruins the potato. But people are in this mindset that they need to eat low carb, or else they're going to be, they're not going to lose weight because they're not in ketosis. And I'm proving that's wrong. I lost, what did I lose? 3 or 4 pounds this past week. I lost 3 or 4 pounds the week before, and I'm eating a huge amount of carbs. My diet is just stuffed full of carbohydrates. And so it's kind of frustrating that people, immediately dismiss being able to do this because they can't eat carbs. They think they can't eat carbs for some reason, but it's the carbs that they're thinking of. Like, I think that in our society, we have this misconception that carbohydrates are things like donuts and protein has to be a meat. And both of those things are completely false. But it's the impression that the industries are giving us. And it's making us fatter. It's ruining our health. And so, but the couple things that make my, pitch hard, that 60-second elevator pitch, is that from the outside, my diet seems so extreme. And I don't have it in me to promote the idea of trying this diet moderately. Like, it would be very easy for me to say, oh, well, if you just kind of cut out these few things and then work towards this diet. But I just don't believe it. I don't believe that that's the best thing to do. If you're overweight and you're trying to figure out what to do, you need to make drastic changes, and you have to stick to those changes. You have to, say, okay, I'm not going to be eating these foods ever again, and I'm abstaining from them forever, not just for a week or a month or until I get to my goal weight. I am abstaining from dairy the rest of my life. I'm abstaining from meat products the rest of my life. I'm abstaining from oil the rest of my life. Though that's what you have to come in. That's the mindset you have to have. That myth of moderate consumption, the myth of moderate change, those things are myths. If they worked, everybody that's listening to me right now would be skinny. If the concept of being able to slowly shift to a better diet worked, then everyone would have succeeded, because we've all tried that. If a shift to a diet of less volume of eating in moderation worked, we'd all be skinny, because we've all done that. But they don't work. It's counterintuitive to our nature, because that isn't how it worked in nature. Now, but we don't live in nature anymore. We've changed our environment so much that we have to realize that we're playing outside of those rules. And I had to self-impose those rules back onto myself. I had to say, you know what? If it's a food that couldn't have existed 100 years ago, then I don't have any reason eating it. If it couldn't have existed 200 years ago, I don't have any reason to eat it. And what I mean by could have existed is that I understand that the fruits and the vegetables that we see in our grocery store are not exactly like the fruits and vegetables that were around 100 or 200 years ago. But those seeds, given sunlight and water, could have grown 200 years ago. These processed foods that we're eating, they don't exist without factories, without chemicals, without science, without laboratories. Like, they're not natural things that you can find that you could replicate. And so I had to avoid those things. I had to remove those things and not eat them anymore. Let's see. Jay here says, yeah, 85% of the public calls a carb that is something made out of white flour and white sugar. Yes, that's what they think. Carbohydrates is white flour, white sugar. And, cookies are carbohydrates. They are. Sure, they're carbohydrates, but they're not the carbohydrates I'm eating. I'm eating so many carbohydrates, and it's working for me. Carrie says it is a lifestyle, just like Weight Watchers and keto, but it's for real this time. Yes, that was when I was doing the keto diets and when I was doing the Weight Watchers and I was taking the prescriptions. It was like, oh, I'm changing my lifestyle, but I couldn't sustain them. I was temporarily changing my lifestyle, but this is stuck. This has been going for 927 days. Like, show me some other people that are 927 days in. I'm sure there's lots of people that are out there with their success in the first 9 months, the first 10 months. I got on TV locally 10 years ago to talk about how awesome I had done with my diet. But then within a year of that TV appearance, I'd gained probably over half of that weight back, because it didn't have the sustainability that something like this diet has. And that's something that when I was thinking about that 60-second elevator pitch, or when I was talking to these ladies that were in my office, I think that the most important thing, at least that I talked to them about today, and really I think that for my success, was talking to them about calorie density. I feel like calorie density can be broken down pretty simply. The idea of that each one of us eats a different volume of food each day. Like I had 3 ladies sitting there and they were all different sizes. And I can, next to guarantee that the lady that was the thinnest of the group of ladies that was there probably eats a smaller volume of food than everybody else, or the overall density of her diet is lower than the other people that had, more weight than they had. And so but everybody has their own volume. Everybody eats their own volume of food. And the skinny people, might only eat 2 pounds of food a day. And the fat people, eat 7 pounds of food a day. And if you can understand that everybody has their own volume that they eat, and, and I think that like I said, if you then look at the food you're eating and say, okay, I'm the type of person that likes to eat 4 pounds of food a day. And my, average calorie, basal metabolic rate is let's try 2,400 calories to make it easier. I could eat I could eat up to 4 pounds of food at 600 calories, right? That's what I was doing the math there. So I could eat 4 pounds of food at 600 calories and I would be at or under my calorie expenditure for the day. But if I double the calorie density and I eat 4 pounds at 1,200 calories, then I doubled my caloric basal metabolic rate. And it's impossible to overcome that, and so by eating a low calorie dense diet, I'm able to keep my calories in check naturally, just like it happened in nature with all of my ancestors, is that they wouldn't have been able to eat enough food to get overweight. And so that was, for me, that was the big thing I wanted to get across, or the idea that I think is very important, is calorie density and volume eating. And that's how I lost my 250 pounds, is through calorie density and volume eating. And I'm going to continue to do that until it doesn't work. And I think it's going to work the whole way. So the only thing that, I've been listening to some Fuhrman videos recently, and he talked a little bit about, if you were to eat 50 extra calories every day, let's say you figure out your basal metabolic rate and it's 200 or whatever, it's 2,400 calories, and you eat 2,450 calories every single day, your body is eventually going to add 4 pounds a year. And over 10 years, that's 40 extra pounds. Over 20 years, it's 80 pounds. And that's how you slowly gain weight. But then he talked about, if you took that same person, instead of eating 2,450 calories, they ate 2,350 calories, then their body would be at a 50 calorie deficit for, every day. And so over a period of a year, you would lose 4 pounds. But so the concern with that is that eventually you'd waste away to nothing. But what he talks about in the video I listened to is that our bodies are these amazing machines. And if you start to limit what you're bringing in, your body will bring down your basal metabolic rate closer to what you're actually eating in quantity of food so that you don't starve to death. Our bodies are survival mechanisms, so it'll make the adjustments it needs to do to keep you alive. Cindy here says, when you reach your 220-pound goal and your BMR drops, will you decrease the volume you are eating? I imagine I will. I eat a smaller volume of food today than I did when I was 400 pounds or 350 pounds. And it's not like it's a specific tangible thing I can say that I'm eating less food, but I know that I'm eating less food because when I was 360 pounds, I would eat everything like I eat now. We'd have our oatmeal in the morning. We'd have our potatoes and broccoli for lunch. And then we would have our dinner, and I'd usually have a serving or two of dinner. But then a lot of times I would finish my day off with a bowl of shredded wheat with pineapple in it, or Ezekiel bread with nut butter. And when I was 350 pounds, I was able to do that and still lose a couple pounds a week. But then when I got down to like 320 to the 300 area, I was still trying to eat those bowls of shredded wheat and that Ezekiel bread and nut butter. And I wasn't able to continue the weight loss. I was, I hung out between 300 and 320 for a long time throughout this whole process. And so, I had to reevaluate my diet, look at the things that I was eating that were really the excess things, or the things that I could replace with lower calorie dense foods. So instead of eating the Ezekiel bread with the nut butter, maybe, I really replaced a lot of that with fruit. Like I eat a lot more fruit at night than I used to, as far as like oranges, apples, and bananas. But I don't eat that kind of gut filling Ezekiel bread and nut butter because I knew I had to do that to lose weight. And so right now I've had 2 great weeks of weight loss. I'm hoping to have a good week of weight loss this week. Let's say I get down to 250 pounds and I start to slow down on that weight loss. Then maybe I don't have seconds for dinner. Maybe I eat 4 potatoes instead of 5 potatoes at lunch, or 3 potatoes instead of 4. I'll make little changes, but with the way my diet's dialed in right now, it would be, like last night I had a second bowl of mega veggie chili. I would just probably have to, cut back on that. But then I look at that calorie count of that, and it's not that, like an extra bowl of mega veggie chili is an extra 300 calories. And I'm probably not eating, I don't even know. I mean, there's barely any calories in a bag of broccoli. I'm eating 4 potatoes. Let's say they weigh 1.5 pounds total weight. So that's probably 600 to 700 calories that I'm having with the potatoes for my lunch. So each of my meals are probably 600 calorie meals. I'm eating 3 meals a day. I'm probably eating, let's round up, say I'm eating 2,000 calories a day. That extra bowl of mega veggie chili might be 2,200 calories, 2,300 calories at the high end. And that's not putting me in a calorie surplus. But when I would end my day with 3 or 4 pieces of Ezekiel bread with a large, amount of nut butter on top of it, that was adding, 500-700 calories to my day. So that was making a difference. And that was putting me up closer to the point where I was either not losing weight or gaining weight. Let's see here. Jay here says that you lost another 12 pounds just by eliminating dry Cheerios and shredded wheat with your coffee. Yeah, that's something that really the Chef AJ community that, you know, a lot of you guys are here, pointed that out to me a lot with like the dry starches. And that was, you know, the Ezekiel bread and the shredded wheat. Well, the Ezekiel bread's oats. So I don't know if that, anyways, but those are dry foods, you know, and those dry foods tend to be, you know, kind of weight gaining foods, or it causes it, you know, difficulty with weight loss. So that's awesome. You were able to lose 12 pounds just by eliminating that stuff, you know, and, that's awesome. And, you know, I kind of feel like I don't have a specific number that I've lost, but that was one of the big things that I had to change, kind of when I reset back in November, or was it August? I think it was August that I reset, because I'm getting pretty far into my diet 2.0 is what I called it at the time. And said, Ann says bread, no matter the ingredients, is a dry starch. I thought so. Yeah. And so, but I had to get rid of them from, my diet. And by doing that, it definitely has helped me to continue with my weight loss. So I guess for Cindy's question, I don't know that I won't be eating less food when I'm 240 pounds. You know, I when I'm 220 pounds, I probably will eat less food. But it'll be because my body doesn't need as much food as it did when it was 400 pounds or 300 pounds. So, but again, I think my calorie deficit is kind of just naturally so low that I don't know that I'm going to have to make a lot of changes. And maybe when I get to 220, if I want to push down to 200, maybe that's where some of those changes will have to happen. You know, I may play around with trying to, you know, Fuhrman talks a lot about not eating till you're stuffed. And that is definitely not the way I eat right now. And so that may be something to look into. Hey, Janet, I hope you're doing great today. You said you loved my cartwheel. Thank you, Janet. Yes, that was, talked about it a little bit earlier. It was kind of fun to be able to do that. All my kids were blown away by it, which was probably the best part about it. Like when I said, well, I'll try a cartwheel, they were all like, oh my God, Dad's going to die. He's going to fall on his head and snap his neck. And then I busted out a cartwheel and my daughter was like, oh my God, that was amazing. That was a really good cartwheel. And so, yeah, that was fun doing that last night. Let's see here. If I have, Carrie says, how are my arms feeling today? They feel good. You know, you're not really, on your arms that much. It's very much a momentum thing. I think that, but yeah, any wrist pain, I did not have any wrist pain. I think that for me, the fear more is my feet, like landing my feet properly so I don't twist my ankles or my knees, because I worry about damaging my knees any worse than I have throughout the last 40 years of my life. I don't need to, you know. So I've had my ACL and my right knee replaced twice. I had it replaced when I was a sophomore in high school. And then I had it replaced, I guess, after I graduated college when I was like 25 or 26. And so I do not want to tear my ACL again. Both times that I tore my ACL, I was doing stupid things. Well, I guess when I tore my ACL when I was a sophomore, I had most likely partially torn my ACL ligament when I was a freshman. I got hit playing football and injured my knee, and it was never really right for the all the way through my freshman wrestling season. And then my sophomore year of high school, I played football and I wrestled, and the whole time my knee was not perfect. There was a couple times where my knee would I would twist if this is your knee joint, it would feel like it would twist like this. And when it did that, my whole body would just collapse. And so like, I'd be doing something and then I would just fall onto the ground, and it was kind of embarrassing. But anyways, after my sophomore year, finished up the wrestling season, and I was playing basketball with some kids after lunch, and I went up for a rebound. I came down and I landed on my leg wrong and I tore my ACL. It was probably the best time it could have happened because it was like the day after I finished my wrestling season. So I had as much recovery time before football was going to start as possible. So that's how I tore my ACL playing basketball when I had no business playing basketball, because I don't play basketball. I was 260 pounds trying to play basketball. And then the second time I tore my ACL, I was playing softball. I was the pitcher, a position that I don't think that I've ever played in any sport in my life ever. And we were just some of my college friends or some of my high school friends that were in town in the summer. We were just playing softball at a local park, and I was pitching and I threw the pitch. The person hit the ball. It was more like a bunt than a hit. It just kind of rolled out in front of them. And so I ran up to try to field the ball, and I stepped wrong. And as soon as I twisted my knee, I knew what I had done. At the time, I was probably 350 pounds. And so that my back on the same live stream, let me know. It says successfully connected. Are we back? Hello. So I don't know. My computer just kind of wigged out on me here and said that I was not connected to the internet anymore, and now I'm back. So Carrie says I am back. And I think I am back just in time to say goodbye. We've been on here for over an hour today, and I started late, so I'm sure Carrie will want me home at some point. She's probably still trying to figure out what to make for dinner that starts with a T. Yeah, I think I'm going to get out of here, guys. I really appreciate all your guys' support. I had a great day today. A great day since yesterday. I did a cartwheel. I got to talk to some strangers about my diet, and they seemed receptive about it. I told them about my YouTube channel, so maybe they'll check out my YouTube channel. I need to get like business cards that maybe have a before and after photo on them, and then just my channel name on them. But let's see. Carrie says that she hasn't started our dinner yet, but she did fill up on watermelon, and now she is in no rush to get dinner done. Well, that's super. You got about 45 minutes before I'm home. So I'm sure whatever we have will be wonderful. Even if it's just potatoes and broccoli, I would eat potatoes and broccoli again, even after having it for lunch today. But I'm sure we'll have something amazing for dinner tonight. I definitely got to get out of here though, guys. Thanks so much for all of the support. It really helps keep me accountable, keeps me going. And what really helps keep me accountable and keeps me going is weigh-in Wednesdays tomorrow. Oh my, I got to hop on the scale and we'll see. Carrie says polenta and mushrooms on tap. All right, I'll be home in 35 minutes then. I'll be speeding home for mushrooms and polenta. Yes, I will see you guys tomorrow. I appreciate you guys so much. If you haven't subscribed to the channel and you're still watching this video an hour and 15 minutes in, hit that subscribe button. Come on, what are you doing? If you haven't liked this video and you're an hour and 15 minutes in, you should have already tried to hit it like 8 times by now. And if you haven't started your diet yet, you should have started by now already, an hour and 15 minutes into this video. No, you should really get started on your diet right now though, because there is nobody that reaches their goals, looks back and wishes they would have waited. Anybody who reaches their goals says, I wish I would have started sooner. If I'd have known how good I was going to feel, if I'd have known how amazing it is, I would have started sooner. I'm not even to my goal, and I think about it all of the time. What where would I be if I would have started 6 months sooner? Where would I be if I would have started a year ago or 2 years ago? Jay says he's having potato salad for dinner. That sounds delicious. Do you put like a mustard in it? What do you put in that? It sounds delicious. But anyways, I'm going to get out of here and we'll get started on your diet, guys. And we will see you tomorrow for Weigh-In Wednesday. If you haven't seen my YouTube video doing the cartwheel on the short, make sure you go over to that and hit the like button on that as well. So, but you guys all have a wonderful evening.